y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden. And today we're going to do an unboxing from Longfield Gardens and we're going to be prepping our ranunculus for fall planting. Okay, so I did get a recent order in from Longfield Gardens. I'm going to be doing a daffodil project where I'm going to have it in multiple containers and pots, preferably mostly terracotta pots, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if I have enough. But I did order some additional bulbs. I have a wide variety going already up here, and let me tell you a little bit about the daffodils I have going. I'll put up some pictures of them. The first one is thalia. The next one is yellow trumpet, then Tahiti, then Salome, and then Terete. So those are some of the ones that I've got going already. I don't think I had any. Oh, I do have a mix over here called the Big Blooming Mix. That's also from Longfield Gardens. So I ordered some additional ones just to fill in a variety of other kind of looks and colors. I wanted some more whites mixed in there. So the first variety I got here, and everything feels really good. The bulbs are a nice size. Everything's packaged really well. The first one is called, let's see, Pipit, Jonquilla Pipit. So this one is yellow and white. It's about 14 to 16 inches tall. The next one is a white orange, and it's called Tazetta Cragford, and also about 14 to 16 inches tall. Next is a peach and white, and it is called Split Corona Cum Laude, and it is also 14 to 16 inches tall. And the last one, these bulbs are huge. Wow. This one is a white and yellow, and it is called Double White Lion, and it is also 14 to 16 inches tall. Now, for the time being, I'm not planting my daffodils quite yet. I'm going to plant them end of October into November. I don't want them to start growing right now. I want them to grow roots, but I don't want them to put off any green at this point. So still a little bit warm in my area. So I'm just going to leave them in the box for now until I am ready to plant, and they should be fine. Okay, today we're going to be getting on to ranunculus corms, and in the past I've always started my ranunculus corms in late winter, early spring, and this last year I started them in January and I got a whole bunch of beautiful blooms. So this year I'm going to go ahead and take the risk and start them in the fall. There's going to be a lot involved with them, so this is going to be a two-part series. Basically, we're going to get all the corms started. We're going to wait a couple of weeks and allow them to grow roots and get going, and then I'll do another video where I'm planting them actually in the garden and showing you how I'm going to cover and protect them for the winter. Now, these are all the ranunculus corms that I harvested from my own garden. I did not add any new ones this year. They have been kept in a basket, open air basket with just a cloth napkin on top. They are pretty desiccated, I should say, at this point. Let me move the camera closer so you can see what they look like. Okay, so here's some of the corms just to kind of give you an idea of what all this looks like. They're pretty old and they look scraggly looking. They look dead. I mean, that's basically, they look dead. So what we need to do is we need to rehydrate these with water. And that's a very simple process. Let me show y'all how I go about this. Okay, so basically I've just got a bowl here in the sink. And I'm just going to go ahead and dump my corms into the bowl. And then we're going to fill up with water. Now, one thing about harvesting my own corms is I was able to leave a little bit of stem on top, which made life easier for me understanding which is the top and which is the bottom. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and start filling this up. And we're going to soak these for about 2 to 4 hours. I usually end up on the air on the side of about 3 hours. I don't want them to over soak and have issues with the rotting. But I usually, about 3 hours, I'll be checking them. Now, one of the things you have to do is you're supposed to oxygenate the water. Oxygenate just means to stir the water and add more oxygen to it. So a couple of different things you can do is you can just allow a trickle of water to go the whole time. But that seems super wasteful to me. So I set an alarm for about every 20 minutes, and every 20 minutes I'll come in, I'll just bust the water on, I'll give it a little shake, and I'll turn it back off. And that's how I oxygenate my water. You obviously don't want to leave and forget about these. Definitely set an alarm, which is super important. But let's let these soak, and in the meantime, we'll talk about the particular blooms that I'm going to be growing this year. All right, so when I was harvesting my corms, I did not separate them out by variety. I just mixed them all up. There's not really a purpose for me separating them by variety, I guess, except that, you know, you can easily identify them. But all of the ones I grow are so different that their colors are so different, it's pretty easy to identify them. A couple of the varieties that I grew new to me this last year was Tomer White, which ended up doing pretty well. The next one was Tomer Pickety, which did not do as well, but I'm hoping now that the corms are a little bit more mature, they've had an entire season to grow, I'm hoping that those will do better. Next was Tomer Purple, sorry, these are a little sun bleached. Tomer Purple, which did really well, and it was a really deep dark purple, I really enjoyed it. And then another one was Tecolote Salmon was another one, which also did really well. And I have some other varieties kind of mixed in there over the years that I've grown as well. All these varieties I purchased from Longfield Gardens, and you can still purchase. They do still have some available if you are interested in starting some ranunculus this year. Now, the philosophy behind starting the ranunculus in the fall is, by the time I get my ranunculus really going in the spring, we hit hot temperatures, and the ranunculus do not grow in hot temperatures. They immediately die back. They like the cooler, colder temps. So the idea is that I go ahead and get them planted out here in the late fall. They start putting on roots and they start putting on some green growth over the winter. I do not allow them to freeze. They will be have a cover, like a freeze cloth over the top of them, and kind of create a little bit of greenhouse effect with them. But I won't allow them to freeze. And then come late winter, early spring, they should start putting on a ton of growth, and I should get blooms earlier. So I'm able to harvest the blooms earlier and longer during the spring, early winter, or excuse me, late winter and early spring. And then come into the spring when it's too hot, that's okay, because I will have already had several weeks of harvesting them. Whereas this last time I only had maybe a week and a half of harvesting them, 2 weeks tops, before it just got too hot. Now, also the advantage of this is I'm creating more mature plants earlier on. So I'm allowing them to grow slowly and mature over the cold winter so that they're kind of more bigger and robust when it's actually time to start blooming and producing flowers. Okay, so they've been soaking a little over 3 hours, and you can definitely see that they have definitely plumped up. Look good. You definitely don't want to over soak these. They will absolutely rot. Look how much these have plumped up. They look really, really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump out the water, put these in a colander, and then let me show you the next step. Okay, I'm going to start by moistening some soil. And you don't want your soil to be like super wet, but you definitely want it to be moist. And this is going to help keep the corms moist while they're beginning to sprout. This entire process is called pre-sprouting. Now, you can totally put your ranunculus corms directly into the ground. I find this process easier for a couple of reasons. First of all, I don't have a lot of space to plant ranunculus. So I don't want to plant any corms that haven't sprouted or that won't sprout, because it takes up a space where I could have put one that does sprout. So pre-sprouting these allows me to figure out which ones are viable and which ones will produce something for me. So that's a really important thing for me right there. Okay, so this is nice and moist. So I'm just going to take a regular seed starting tray, and I'm going to go ahead and just spread out about 1 inch of soil at the base. just like that. And I'm going to do 2 trays. Looks like I'm probably going to have some more soil. Okay, then I've got my soaked ranunculus corms. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and just start placing these. And I mean, here's the top part where the stems are. This octopus part is, you know, where the roots will come out. You can do it straight up and down like that. That's fine if you want. You can lay it on its side if you want to. That's fine. I'm going to give them a little bit of space. Some corms are a little bigger than others, so I'll kind of gently pull them apart. I'm not breaking them down into absolute singles. I am leaving some of them larger, which is fine. I find like the smaller corms when they're by themselves have a hard time producing. I like to have mine sitting upright. Just because I find it easier to check for if it is sprouting. One thing about ranunculus corms is if you have success with them your first year, you're going to keep getting more and more corms. So my goal this year was to not buy any new corms, and that worked out great. So you can see that I was able to get a whole bunch of corms just from those. So once I have that part done, I'm just going to come across with my soil and start covering them up. They do need darkness to start sprouting. And y'all can see them definitely going to need to make up some more moist soil for the other tray. I probably could have stuffed them all in this tray, but I'm going to give them a little space. Now, theoretically, you should not have to water anymore from this point on. Okay, I think we're good. All right, we're good on this one. Let's do the other tray. Okay, at this point, we get them ready to basically store until they sprout. You could put a greenhouse dome, like a plastic lid on top of this. I would leave it slightly askew if you do. I don't have any plastic lids that are this size because I don't typically sprout anything in these trays that are this size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a little bit of plastic wrap, and I'm not going to make this tight. I'm just going to kind of generally just put it over just like that. Very simply, nothing crazy. It looks like my fan is going to blow it off. So I'm just going to take a pair of scissors on each side just like that. Easy peasy. I'm going to do the same thing on this tray. But this will allow me to easily check what's going on with these, and it will also allow a little bit of airflow, which will be good. There we go. just like that. Okay, so at this point, there's a couple of different things. Typically, these like to be pre-sprout at a cooler temp, somewhere like around the 50s to 60s. I don't have an area in my home that's like that, and it's still warm outside, so I don't have an area outside either. So I'm just going to do the best I can, and I'm going to leave them in just right here on the table where I can easily see them and I won't forget about them. It might take them a little longer to sprout, or they might sprout a little sooner, just depending on the temperatures. They prefer to be in darkness. I don't have a dark area for them, but I will turn off the overhead light. I think that'll be fine. Because they are already under the soil, they do have darkness in the soil, so I'm not really worried about them being in an absolutely dark room or something like that. And that's just, you can only do the best you can. Some of us don't have cellars where we can, achieve 55 or 50 to 55 degrees at any point during the year, or have garages that are naturally cool. My fall is a warm fall, like 80s. So that's just how my fall is. And then we go straight to winter. So while you might watch a lot of different YouTube channels and they say you have to do it this way, you might have to adapt for whatever your location is, your particular zone, your house, your setup, what you're willing to spend for whatever it is that you're producing. So there are some ways to kind of work around the system. You don't have to do it exactly like everybody says. Like with this video up here, I'm sure I'll get lots of people comment about how they do it a different particular way and it works for them. And I'm always interested to hear what you're doing because I love learning from you. And I feel like every time I hear more about what other people are doing, it teaches me and allows me to adapt my system to better produce blooms for my own garden. Okay, so this was a pretty simple video. So the next part of this video will be once these are sprouted. It takes about 2 weeks for these to sprout. I find that they sprout in anywhere from 8 to 14 days, sometimes a little bit longer, it just depends. And once these have sprouted, I'll do a new video. I'll show you what they all look like, and then we will go ahead and get them planted up in a raised bed outside that we're going to fortify with new compost. And then I will also show you how I'm going to create a greenhouse effect over that particular bed. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know my latest videos are up. And be sure to check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.